Welcome to the first Ombuds Lunchbox, our new series of bite-sized lessons for big-time collaboration.
Where is the menu? Establishing norms and expectations. I'm wondering if any of you out there have ever been out to brunch with some friends. They pass out the menus and you're reading it, and suddenly you realize they gave you the dinner menu. That's kind of what happens in our department sometimes when some people are all on the same page and some people just didn't get the memo of they're supposed to be doing. Or sometimes you just imagine if you opened a restaurant menu and it was empty. And that's a lot of times what our new employees are working with. Or maybe you're moving into a new department where you just aren't really sure what's going on and what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes that poor banana doesn't understand that what they're doing is not okay and that the rest of the group isn't happy or are feeling some negative impacts. So we'll start with a couple examples. Let's, on the left-hand side, imagine a situation where there's a group and all decisions have always been made at these long meetings with unanimous decision making, where everyone gets a chance to have their say. But now times are moving faster. It's more and more difficult to schedule these lengthy, frequent in-person meetings. We've got more people working remote. We've got a lot of people with family accommodations. And sometimes people feel like meetings go on too long, while other people feel like they're not being heard anymore. Another example on the right-hand side, imagine a manager who's hiring a new employee. And the manager has always enjoyed the camaraderie of the department. Everyone in the department is social. They go out to coffee together. They chat a lot during the day. Often means people are working late. But there's a new person who really just kind of wants to get her work done and get out. And the team sees that as rude behavior and really like unacceptable. Think about those situations as we go through today. Because even at UCSB, our norms can differ greatly. These are just a bunch of different aspects of norms that we often just take for granted about how these things are going to be done. And they can differ widely from department to department. As we as ombuds know, because we see people from all different departments. Is it okay to bring your dog to work? Is it okay to talk about your personal life at work? Is it expected? Or does people talking about romantic relationships cross the line? Can people Zoom call you during the work? Is that acceptable? Do you meet regularly or you just meet when you have something to meet about? Why do we care? Why is it important to kind of set these norms for folks? Well, we want to provide them a roadmap. We want people to feel like they belong. We want there to be psychological safety, avoiding groupthink. We talk a lot about safety here at UCSB, but I think some of the research behind it is really important to reference. Psychological safety being the belief that one will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, or mistakes. And I think oftentimes we don't even realize we're doing it, but we are in a way sort of subtly punishing people if they aren't agreeing with us. We might not invite their discussion further on. We might give them kind of a funny look, wrinkle our nose, roll our eyes. And it's really important that we have everyone contributing their ideas. Again, we want people to feel like they belong. But if we really look at what's the mission of the university, we want to get the best ideas out there. And if we have some bad ideas, we want to invite criticism. We want to invite pushback and have people not take it personally. And that's what this psychological safety is all about. Edgar Schein has some great research out there about how norms and culture are formed. And basically, whether we consciously create them, they will happen, right? Our norms exist and they might just come accidentally through, well, there was that one time, so-and-so crossed so-and-so and whew, we learned not to do that again. Or you learn, oh, you want to get your way. Oh, just, have the loudest voice and you'll get your way. So we really want to be purposeful about how we do things. Maybe that is how you want decisions to be made, but I would guess not. I would guess we want to have more intentional decision making. This is all about how you design good collaboration and moving from just assuming things are done a certain way to being intentional about it. And keep in mind, these things aren't rigid rules. They're going to be living agreements. The idea is that each person is going to be able to be at their best, or at least each team, and try to come to a place where everyone can be participating in a way that is valuable to them. I want to touch a little bit about the difference between policy, habits, norms. So a lot of times people come to our office and say, hey, where's the policy that says people can't do XYZ? And often there isn't a policy. It's just that's what their expectation is. And I was thinking about this a conversation Patty and I were having yesterday about, well, that's not acceptable or that's not professional. It's all a spectrum. It's like what's acceptable and what's professional in your world. And it might be different to you than to another person. So trying to figure out exactly what's the culture that we want in our units, in our departments, and what are the norms that then create that culture. Very important is how much our norms, what we personally think of as should be our norms, are tied to our identity. And these are just kind of a few things that pop up for us a lot. Well, this is how it's done at UCSB. It's always been done this way. This is what's done. Or maybe someone's coming in new to UCSB and they say, well, it's not done like this at Cox or Yardi or Raytheon. And then personal values, like, well, this is who I am. This is how I operate. What that person is doing does not align with what I value. And then there's more of our kind of our family, our culture. We think about how ethnicity and religion might come into these things that all tie back into how we develop what we consider to be appropriate norms. Now, there might be a time when you feel like the norms in your department need to change. So norms have a time and a place. Sometimes things need to be updated. Sometimes technology changes or leadership changes and the goals change. Resources change. People's time limitations change. Maybe there's just a whole different workforce that is turned over and what was working before isn't working anymore. I think it's good to keep in mind that implementing these changes doesn't mean we're personally criticizing the people who set them up or have been operating within them in the past. It's just a recognition that we might need to adapt and develop with the times and the people. Another issue that I think is really important is our perception and kind of the stories we tell about what's going on. If we're thinking back to our examples, thinking about the manager and the employee, the manager with the team that's really social, with a new person coming in who's not. And we can look at those opposing behaviors and sort of see, in a way, see fault on both ends, right? The new employee might feel like, hey, I'm focused, I'm doing my work, I'm hardworking. These people are a bunch of clowns, they're distracting me. The manager's asking us to go out for drinks, that's totally unprofessional. And then we can flip the script and have the manager and the team are saying, here's this new person. They're not engaged with the team. They're not collaborative. They are avoidant of these hard conversations. And then if we kind of push that along the spectrum to the extremes, either behavior could be seen as against policy. So I guess I'm asking you to be, I'm seeing this person or this aberration to our norms in a certain way, and challenge yourself to put yourself in their shoes and how they might be viewing the rest of the group. Not to say that someone doesn't need to change a little bit, but if we can at least have some empathy and understanding for them, then maybe we can move forward and find something that'll work for everybody. So how do we do this? I have 5 simple steps for you. 1, check your stories. 2, look for interests. 3, beware of cultural considerations. Create and iterate. Checking your stories. Again, this is kind of going back to the slide I was just emphasizing, just being aware of the stories around you, not looking at one incident and taking a lot of stock in that and thinking that's just the way that person is because of one thing that they did. And then looking for the interest. Why is this person acting this way? Why is this employee not interested in hanging out with the team? Well, maybe they have a really busy life outside of work and they want to get out of there as quickly as possible so they can deal with these things. Why is the manager so social at work and wasting time? Maybe the manager just feels like that's what's important to build trust and maintain a collaborative team environment. Thinking about what's going on in your group and what are your interests? What are the goals of the unit, the department, whatever it is, and the individuals, and finding out how you can all help each other do your best work to meet the mission. And then just a little caution that sometimes when people say something is unprofessional, it's sort of a code that, oh, this doesn't match what my culture is. So, not to say we want people to weaponize that, but just being aware of what are the subtleties around that, and are you being accepting of different communication styles, different genders, different ethnicities. And then it's up to you as a group to create what the norms are that you want. Now, if you're a manager, you can definitely lay out what your expectations are. So this isn't to say that managers don't have any say in this, but it is helpful and you're going to get more buy-in if you have everyone participating in creating these norms.
Thank you for watching the first session of the Ombuds Lunchbox. We hope you got a lot out of our bite-sized workshop. Please visit theombuds.ucsb.edu to learn more about our work.